So what is a democratic exercise? I vote we do jumping jacks. Well, I vote we do push-ups.
Well, in this case, it's voting for politicians, elected offices.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that kind of voting.
Exercising their democratic. Okay.
Yes.
I'm on board
what you're
now.
saying.
I follow.
And if you think about it, I mean, where else on earth might you have 968 million eligible voters? It's from India, most populous.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going on right now, millions of residents of India across 96 constituencies have begun casting ballots. The country is on a 6-week-long election. Yeah, well, when you got 960,
early voting.
And it's going on now. In fact, in this story, it says it's past the halfway mark. It's an important election. In fact, they're electing representatives, including the prime minister and all that going on. And this is an election that's going to run until June 1st. And again, the goal is to have every voter reached no matter where they live. And that's key in the story update I have for you on this. The electoral laws in India also demand that each voter is no more than 1.2 miles away from a polling booth. Now think about that. I mean, 1.2 miles is, it's
a short walk.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it really is.
I'm sure there are some pretty remote places in India, too.
Yeah, that's where we're going. And there are also election laws that demand certain setups, as far as I guess I'll call it, when it comes to when voting is being done. So the laws require each polling booth that has to have at least 6 polling staff members and 2 police officers. So now let's wander into a remote forest area of India where there is one registered voter, a Hindu monk. And this is required. The polling officials, as we said, the 6 staff and 2 police officers, to traverse through this forest and set up a voting booth where this Hindu monk is the sole resident. I have a picture of the man who is casting his ballot that just occurred the other day. It was a 2-day trip, as it's described here, including a long and bumpy journey by bus on unpaved forest roads. They set up the polling station. This man arrived at the booth before lunch to cast his ballot, but because election rules in India say that polling stations must remain operational until the evening,
oh my gosh,
they still had to sit there even though they knew nobody else was going to show up to vote. Isn't that incredible? And it says here that the Election Commission goes to great lengths every 5 years to try to make sure that not a single eligible voter is left out. I had no clue. I'd never heard these kinds of stories coming from
bureaucratic nonsense is what that is.
Well, it's I admire the attempts and everything, but then it's like you'd think that they could modify certain. There's another team, by the way. As much as they went into the forest for this one, apparently there's another team that's preparing to travel to what will be the world's highest polling station at 15,256 feet above sea level, as they'll have to brave freezing cold in order to reach this northern part of India, where, again, they'll have constituencies. I guess there's more than one that votes there, but still, that's what they're doing. From the forest to the high mountains, they set up their polling stations in order to make sure that every voter has a chance to vote.
I want a reality TV show about these poll workers that are climbing mountains and trekking through forests for one person to vote and then packing it all up and going back.
I'd like to make it think that if there's ever going to be any question about, as it says here, the 96 constituencies, I don't know how big or how small some of them are, but if there's ever a question about the vote count, I think at least in this particular case, they wouldn't have a trouble verifying. There's no need for a recount here.
Uh-oh. We've got 2.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. How did that happen? I was looking in the story, but I'd like to know, what does it cost to put on an election of this magnitude? I mean, 6 weeks, and then trying to include every single person. If you're going to go to the great lengths that they're doing for this one vote and other votes too, I mean, wow. And again, you have to have 6 polling staff and 2 police officers. I mean, that's 8 people.
Group of 8 people journeying through to get that one vote. Every vote matters, especially in India, I guess.
And apparently it does.
Wow.
So the election again ends on June 1st. Don't know exactly when all the votes will be counted after that and when the announcements will be made, but we'll find out. That's an impressive, as they say, largest democratic exercise in human history. Although, as it says here again, they go to these great lengths every 5 years.
I gotta think.
I had no clue.
If people are traveling out to meet me, and I live in the middle of the desert, and they're bringing the polling stuff to me, I'm going to make them lunch because they got to be stuck there for the rest of the day anyway.
Just a little courtesy, huh?
Hopefully those people are being...
At least offer them a drink or something.
Yeah.
By the way, it does see here at the very end of the story, it says the votes are scheduled to be counted on June 4th.
Okay.
So we'll know soon. And
6 weeks of polling, 3 days of tabulating. Wow.
They need to, well, I don't know. I was going to say they need to have maybe technology that would allow, but then again, when we talk about some of the concerns of voting online and using technology, at least this way, if they're going to get every vote counted in person.
The technology is a couple giant buildings full of very long tables and hundreds of people.
That's the technology. The old ways work.